The story of exile is a romantic one. It's a sad one. It's a story of loss, obviously, and longing for something that's left behind, but it's also a story of moving forward and moving in new directions and new possibilities, new discoveries. One of the things about exile is that the place that you have left behind ceases to exist. So there's a mystery about the place you came from, and there's a mystery about the past. The inspiration for Exiles Cafe came from stories of composers whom I know and love, from my own story, from stories of important people in my life. The pieces of Bartók's that are on the album date from his earliest days experimenting with Hungarian folk music. And for me that was very poignant because I think that an important part of the story of exile is the beginning as well as the end. Referring back to the beginning of his life dealing with folk music and expressing his love of his country through his music was an essential part of his experience of exile. These are three very, very short, haunting little pieces that I think just sort of crystallize that feeling that he had for his homeland. For me, Kurt Weill is one of the exiles whose story of arrival is such an important one because he brought to the United States a totally new idea about the theater and what it could express and how it could be expressed, and revolutionized the way that we think about the American musical theater. The more that I lived with that piece, I realized that there's something incredibly powerful about the lyrics to the song, which of course you don't hear in the piano version, but they're there in my heart. I've been walking through the night and the day till my eyes get weary and my head turns gray, and sometimes it seems maybe God's gone away and we're lost out here in the stars. And I think about all of these composers on this album, you know, in their experience of exile, feeling alone, feeling lost in the stars. The title track on the album, Tango from the Exiles Cafe, is an adorable little piece that I had heard years ago and loved the piece and loved the title. It's where the notion of the Exiles Cafe as a place comes from. That place has become so important to me as a place that exists in reality. You know, all over the world there are cafes that shelter wanderers and travelers and certainly artists throughout the centuries. The Exiles Cafe, too, is an imaginary place where all of the composers on this album can come together through all of their voyages in different times and different places and tell their stories. We all have stories of exile, whether personally or historically, and so I wanted to bring that out in music.